Maya, I brought something for you, I said as I walked into her apartment, holding the flowers behind my back. She didn't even look up from the couch. I felt something strange in my chest. Hey, are you okay? I asked. She finally glanced at me, but her eyes were cold. We need to talk, Armin. I sat beside her, confused. Talk about what? I asked. She moved away, creating space like I was a stranger. Maya, what's going on? She sighed and I felt my stomach tighten. I think you know, she said. No, I don't, I whispered. Just tell me. She looked straight at me and said, You're holding me back. My breath caught. What do you mean by that? I asked. She stood up and crossed her arms. You're slow, Armin. Your dreams, your goals, everything about you feels stuck. I stared at her, stunned. I'm working hard. You know I am. She shook her head. Hard work isn't enough. I need someone on my level, someone who can keep up with me. I felt heat rise in my face. So now I'm not good enough? I said. She didn't deny it. Maya, I love you. I've supported every step of your journey. She looked away. I didn't ask you to. Her words stabbed me. So what do you want? I asked. She hesitated before saying, I want a future that doesn't slow me down. I don't understand, I whispered. She finally turned toward me and her eyes were sharp. You and I, we aren't equal anymore. My heart dropped. Equal? I repeated. Since when did love become a competition? She closed her eyes. Since I realized someone else understands me better. My breath froze. Someone else? Maya, who? She didn't hesitate. A deal. I felt the world tilt. A deal? The guy from your office. She nodded slowly. He gets me, she said. He pushes me to be better. I swallowed hard. And I don't. She didn't answer. So this is it? I asked. You're leaving me for him? She looked guilty for the first time. I'm choosing myself, Armin. I need to move forward. I thought we were building a future together, I said. She shook her head again. You're sweet, Armin, but sweetness doesn't build empires. Her voice hurt more than the words. So I'm not enough for your empire? She didn't reply. I let out a breath. Tell me, did you ever love me? She hesitated, and that hesitation was worse than any answer. Silence filled the room. Then she whispered, I cared, but maybe not enough. I felt something inside me crack. Say it clearly, Maya. End it properly. She looked at me and for a moment I saw the woman I once knew. But she only said, I'm sorry. I stood up slowly. No, you're not, I replied. But it's fine. I walked toward the door, holding the flowers that now felt useless. Armin, she called out, but I didn't turn around. I hope you find someone who fits your pace, she added. I almost laughed at how easy it was for her. Goodbye, Maya, I said. I opened the door, stepped out, and heard it close behind me like a final chapter ending. I walked down the stairs, holding my breath as the cold night air hit my face. My hands were shaking, but I didn't drop the flowers. This is it, I whispered to myself. This is where everything changes. I felt empty but also strangely awake. I didn't know what would happen next, but I knew I couldn't go back. Zara, I'm fine, I said as I stared at my phone, though my voice made the lie obvious. She sighed on the other end. You don't sound fine, Armin. Talk to me. I pressed my fingers against my eyes. There's nothing to say. She didn't buy it. She broke you, didn't she? I felt my throat tighten. I don't want to talk about Maya. I hung up before she could say more. I hated myself for doing that, but I couldn't breathe whenever someone tried to help. I walked around my room talking to myself. I'm not holding anyone back, I muttered. I work hard. I try. But the words sounded weak. My startup plans lay scattered across my desk like reminders of failure. Every time I looked at them, I heard Maya say, You're slow, Armin. Hamza knocked on my door. Bye, you need to eat. I didn't look up. I'm not hungry. He stepped inside anyway. You haven't eaten since yesterday. I shrugged. I'm fine. He frowned. You look like hell. I laughed bitterly. Thanks. He sat on the bed. She didn't deserve you. I shook my head. Don't say that. If she left, maybe she had a reason. He stared at me like I had lost my mind. A reason to throw away years? Come on. I stood up and paced across the room. Maybe I really was slowing her down, I said. Maybe my dreams were too small. Hamza leaned forward. Armin, your dreams are big. You just don't see it yet. I didn't answer. I felt tired. Heavy. Broken. He sighed. Fine. I'll leave you alone. But please eat something. I nodded just so he'd go. When he left, I collapsed into the chair and stared at the blank wall. Why wasn't I enough? I whispered. I wished the room would give me an answer. My phone buzzed. Zara again. I ignored it. Then she called again. Eventually I picked up. What now? I asked quietly. She didn't yell. She just said, I'm coming over. I panicked. No, don't. I don't want to talk. She replied, then you can sit in silence while I'm there. 15 minutes later, she walked in without waiting for me to open the door fully. You look terrible, she said. Wow, I muttered. Everyone keeps saying that. She put a bag of food on my table. Then insult me. I stared at it. I can't. She pushed it toward me. Try. I finally took a bite and for a moment I felt human again. She sat across from me. Tell me what's going on inside your head. I shook my head. It's stupid. She leaned closer. Say it anyway. I swallowed. I keep hearing her voice. I keep seeing her face when she said I wasn't enough. Zara's eyes softened. You trusted her. She hurt you. That doesn't make you weak. I looked away. Then why does it feel like I'm falling apart? Because you loved her, she said. And because you're human. I exhaled shakily. I can't focus on anything. Even my startup feels dead now. She touched my arm lightly. It's not dead. You're just hurting. You'll stand again. I didn't believe her, but I nodded anyway. After she left, I sat alone in the dim room, hearing her words echo softly. I wanted to believe them. I wanted to believe I still had worth. But as I stared at the flowers I never gave Maya, all I felt was the quiet, heavy weight of being forgotten. I wondered if tomorrow would hurt less than today somehow. I was walking out of a grocery store when I heard a familiar laugh. I froze. When I turned my head, I saw Maya and Adil standing near the parking lot, holding hands like they'd been together forever. She leaned into him, laughing in a way she never laughed with me. My chest tightened, but I didn't move. I just watched silently. Adil noticed me first. Oh, Armin? He said, sounding fake surprised. Maya stiffened, then tried to smile. Hey, she said softly, like we were old friends meeting by accident. I swallowed the burn in my throat. You two look close, I said. Adil smirked. We are. Maya nudged him, whispering, Stop. I stared at their intertwined hands. So this is real, I said. Maya nodded. I didn't expect you to see us like this. I let out a slow breath. Doesn't matter now. She stepped forward. Armin, I hope you're doing okay. I almost laughed. Do I look okay? She lowered her head. I'm sorry. I shook my head. No, you're not. Adil put his arm around her. Let's go, he said to her like I wasn't standing there. They walked away together and I stood there, feeling something inside me break in a quiet, final way. When I got home, I looked at myself in the mirror. Look at you, I whispered. My eyes were empty, my posture weak. This isn't who I want to be. I leaned closer to the mirror. Why am I letting them decide my worth? For the first time since the breakup, I didn't feel pain. I felt anger mixed with clarity. My phone buzzed. Zara. I answered. You sound weird, she said. What happened? I replied, I saw them together. She cursed. Armin, are you okay? I sat on my bed. Actually, I think I am. She paused. That doesn't sound real. I shook my head. It feels real. Something snapped today. I'm done being the guy who begs for crumbs. Zara's voice softened. So what now? I rebuild, I said. My life, my mind, my work. She exhaled with relief. Finally. I've been waiting for you to say that. I chuckled weakly. I'm serious. I'm going to change things. Starting now. She replied, Good. And I know exactly where you should start. Join the incubator program I told you about. I sighed. Zara, that thing is for serious people. She snapped. You are serious. You're just scared. Her words hit me hard. Okay, I said. I'll check it out. She cheered. Great. I'll send you the link. Don't back out. I promised I wouldn't. The next morning, I dragged myself to the incubator building. My heart raced as I walked in. A man in a sharp suit looked up from his laptop. You're late, he said. I blinked. Late for what? He pointed to the chairs. Orientation. Sit. I sat quickly, feeling awkward. After a moment, he said, Name? I replied, Armin. He nodded. I'm Rayan. I run this program. Why are you here? I hesitated, then answered honestly. I'm tired of being weak. He raised an eyebrow. Good answer. Most people lie. I frowned. Why does it matter? He closed his laptop. Because people who admit their lowest point are the ones who rise fastest. His confidence hit me like a spark. So, you think I can rise? He smirked. I don't waste my time on people who can't. I felt something new, hope. Then I won't waste yours, I said. He nodded. Good. Now let's build you into someone you're not ashamed of. For the first time in weeks, I felt alive. I walked out of the building with a strange, steady energy. This is it, I whispered. This is the start. Sit, Rayanne told me as he pointed at the chair beside him. I sat quickly, feeling the pressure in his voice. Show me your idea, he said. I opened my laptop and pushed it toward him. He scanned the screen silently. This is raw, he said, but it has fire. I asked, so it's worth building? He leaned back and replied, if you're ready to bleed for it. I am, I said, surprising myself with how steady my voice was. He nodded slowly. Good. Then forget comfort for a while. I laughed nervously. I already did. Rayanne smirked. Not enough. Start again. Build smarter. His words hit me hard. So you'll guide me? I asked. He replied, only if you listen. That night I spread my work across the floor. No more weakness, I whispered. Zara called me and asked, how's the new mentor? I answered, terrifying but honest. She laughed. Perfect. Now fix your interface. I said, I'm trying. She added, send me the files. I'll redesign everything. I felt grateful. Thanks. I owe you. She said, shut up and work. Hamza entered my room holding snacks. Eat before you die, he said. I shook my head. Later. He frowned. You say that every night. I said, I need to finish this. He sat beside me. Then let me help with the marketing plan. I looked at him carefully. You're serious? He replied, serious enough to stay awake. Nights blurred into each other. I coded until my fingers hurt. Zara fixed layouts and argued about color choices. Hamza ran tests on our ads. Rayanne inspected every update. This line is weak, he'd say. Fix it before it embarrasses you. I learned to swallow my pride. I learned to rebuild without complaining. One morning, Rayanne pointed at my dashboard. This traction is real, he said. I stared at the numbers, shocked. People actually like it? I asked. He replied, people like progress. Now show it to investors. I felt fear rising. I'm not ready. He looked annoyed. No one is ready. Present anyway. At the investor event, my hands shook. Zara whispered, breathe. You've got this. I nodded and stepped forward. I introduced myself and explained the platform. Questions came fast. I answered all of them even when my voice cracked. When I finished, Rayanne whispered, not bad for a broken heart. 2 days later, I got a call from an unknown number. Is this Armin? A deep voice asked. Yes, I said cautiously. This is Haroon, CEO of Apex Digital, he said. My heart pounded. I saw your pitch, he continued. I want a meeting. I almost dropped my phone. I'll be there, I said quickly. At his office, Mr. Haroon shook my hand firmly. Your idea is bold, he said. I replied, I believe in it. He studied me carefully. Rayanne speaks highly of you. I blinked. He does. He smirked. Not often. Impress me and we'll sign. I opened my laptop and began the presentation. When I finished, he said, I like your drive. Let's work together. His signature hit the contract and something inside me shifted. I walked out of his office feeling light for the first time in months. Zara called immediately. Well, she asked. I said, we got the deal. She screamed with joy. Hamza shouted in the background. I smiled and whispered, I'm finally moving forward. As I walked down the street, I felt the wind hit my face. I'm not the same man anymore, I said softly. And for once I believed it. I first heard about Maya's trouble when Hamza rushed into my workspace and said, Bye, did you see the news? I looked up from my laptop and asked, what now? He hesitated before adding, her company is crashing. I felt the words land, but there was no shock inside me. Just a quiet, heavy stillness that didn't move me at all. Hamza sat beside me and whispered, people online are blaming a deal. They say he ruined a major deal. I nodded slowly and said, he always talked big. Hamza studied my face. You're not happy? I breathed out. No. I don't feel anything. It's strange, but it's true. I guess my heart stopped caring a long time ago after everything broke. Later that evening, Zara called me and said, I knew this would happen someday. I replied, maybe, but it doesn't change anything for me. She hummed softly. You're calm. Too calm. I told her, life finally feels peaceful. She paused, then asked, if she came back, what would you do? I answered, nothing. I had closed that door for good. The next morning, Sana messaged me asking if we could talk. I met her at a quiet cafe, and she sighed the moment she sat down. She's falling apart, she said. I asked, because of the deal? Sana shook her head. Because she trusted the wrong man. I stared at my cup and said, that's her journey now. Not mine. Sana leaned closer and whispered, she regrets choosing him. She said you were the only person who ever supported her. I kept my voice steady. That time is over. Sana nodded sadly. I know. She just doesn't. I looked out the window and murmured, I'm not waiting for apologies. I have my life to protect and my peace to keep. She touched my arm gently and said, I hope she learns. I replied, we all do eventually. There was a long silence before Sana whispered, she cries at work. I frowned and said, I cried too. Nobody noticed. Sana breathed in shakily. You didn't deserve that pain. I nodded. Maybe not, but it made me stronger. In ways I needed. When we stood to leave, Sana said, if she reaches out, please don't hate her. I answered, I don't hate her. I just don't belong in that chapter anymore. She looked relieved. As she walked away, I whispered to myself, healing isn't revenge. My chest felt light, as if some old chain finally loosened inside my heart for good today. Back at the office, Rayanne asked, why do you look thoughtful? I smiled faintly. Sana told me something. He raised a brow. About your past? I nodded. Yes, but it didn't shake me. Rayanne smirked. That's growth. I replied, feels like freedom. He tapped my shoulder. Then protect it. Don't look back. I said I'm done living in old shadows. Zara called again that night and asked, are you okay? I laughed softly. Surprisingly, yes. She exhaled with relief. Good. You deserve peace. I said, I'm finally choosing it. Zara replied, then keep going forward. I promised her I would. Something settled inside me, steady and warm, as if a new path opened right under my steps just today. Now, as I lay in bed, I whispered, her life is cracking, but mine is rising. There was no pride, no anger, only acceptance. I closed my eyes and said, karma works quietly. For the first time, I felt truly free. I let the night wrap around me like peace I had earned through pain and found within my own strength. I was reviewing new signups when Hamza burst into my office saying, bye, we just crossed 10,000 users. I stared at the screen and whispered, already? He laughed, yes. People love our product. I felt a warm pull in my chest and said, we're really doing this, aren't we? Hamza grinned. You're doing this. I'm just helping. I shook my head. We're a team. All of us. A moment later, Rayanne walked in and said, stop celebrating early. This is just phase 1. I smirked. You can't give me 2 minutes of happiness? He crossed his arms. I can, but I'd rather push you. You're meant for more. I leaned back and replied, I'm starting to believe that. Rayanne tapped my desk. Good. Because greatness isn't given. It's taken. His confidence always fueled mine. Zara entered holding design samples and asked, are you two done arguing? I chuckled. We're just discussing my future greatness. Rayanne shrugged. I'm preparing him. Zara smiled at me and said, you're already doing great. Don't forget that. I met her eyes and replied, I trust you. Your instincts keep saving us. Her cheeks reddened slightly. Then keep trusting me. Later that evening, Mr. Haroon invited me to a networking dinner. When I arrived, he shook my hand firmly and said, I want you to meet someone important. I nodded as he led me toward a confident young woman with sharp eyes. This is my daughter, Alishba, he said. She extended her hand and said, I've heard a lot about you. I replied, I hope it was good. Alishba smirked. Mostly. My father thinks you're disciplined. I laughed softly. I try. She leaned closer. Your growth is impressive. Most founders lose focus. I raised a brow. What makes you think I haven't? She grinned. Because you're here instead of celebrating at home. I shook my head. Work keeps me grounded. She nodded. Good. I respect that. We moved to a quieter corner and she asked, what's your expansion plan? I hesitated. still rough around the edges. She motioned for my notebook. Show me. I passed it and she scanned the pages quickly. Your vision is strong, she said, but your roadmap needs refinement. I asked, you think it can be fixed? She looked up. Easily if you let me help. I blinked. You want to work with us? She shrugged casually. Your project has potential and you have resilience. That matters. Her words hit deeper than I expected. I whispered, resilience came from surviving things I don't talk about anymore. She held my gaze. Good. Don't talk about them. Use them. Something in her tone made me straighten a little taller. When Rayan joined us, he said, so, how's my star founder doing? I rolled my eyes. Behaving. Alishba laughed. He's smarter than he looks. I replied, I'll take that as a compliment. Rayan asked her, he giving you trouble? She shook her head. No. He listens. I smirked. Sometimes. Rayan nudged me. Learn from her. She's better than most consultants. As the night ended, Alishba said softly, you're building something real. Don't let self-doubt slow you down again. I inhaled deeply. I'm trying. She squeezed my shoulder lightly. Try harder. You owe it to yourself. Her words sank into me like truth I needed to hear. When I got home, Zara called and asked, so, how was the dinner? I answered, good. I met someone sharp. She's helping with expansion. Zara paused. Do you trust her? I replied, I think I do. She whispered, if she sees your worth, then good. I smiled. For the first time I feel seen, for who I'm becoming. And in that moment I realized I was standing taller than ever before. I was reviewing our weekly targets when Zara rushed in saying, Armin, someone's here to see you. I didn't look up. Tell them to wait. She hesitated. Maya. My stomach tightened, but I forced my voice to stay steady. Send her in. The door opened slowly and I heard her whisper, hi. Armin. I kept my eyes on the screen. What do you want? She stepped closer. Please look at me. I finally turned and she flinched. You look different, she said. I replied, I feel different. She wrapped her arms around herself. I made a mistake. I leaned back and said, people usually do. Her voice cracked. I'm serious. I ruined everything. I stayed quiet. She looked at the floor. Adil wasn't who I thought he was. I raised a brow. Shocking. She swallowed hard. He used me, Armin. He lied about the deal. I defended him and lost everything. My job, my reputation, everything. I asked, so now you're here because I'm doing well? Her eyes filled with tears. No. I'm here because I'm sorry. I didn't move. Sorry for what exactly? She wiped her cheek. For choosing him. For hurting you. For breaking us. I replied, you didn't break us. You walked away. She whispered, I was wrong. I exhaled slowly. You were cruel. She stepped forward. I know, and I regret it every day. I stared at her. Do you regret it because you lost him or because you lost me? She hesitated and I smirked. Exactly. She shook her head. Armin, please, let me explain. I crossed my arms. Go ahead. She took a shaky breath. You were always good to me. I thought a deal could take me higher. I thought he was better. Her voice broke. But he destroyed me. I nodded slowly. And now that your world has collapsed, you want the man you threw away. She whispered, I miss you. I said, you miss the comfort. Not me. She covered her face. I'm begging you, please don't hate me. I answered, I don't hate you. I feel nothing. She dropped her hands and stared at me. Nothing? I repeated, nothing. She whispered, I thought, maybe we could start over. I laughed quietly. Start over? Maya, you ended us the day you told me I was holding you back. She winced. I didn't mean those words. I replied, you meant every one of them. I remember. She pleaded, I was prideful. I was stupid. I shrugged. And now you're paying for it. That's life. She looked around the office. Your team, your company, you changed. I nodded. I had to. She whispered, without me? I answered, especially without you. Her breath caught. Just then Hamza peeked in, saw her and froze. Oh. I waved him off. It's fine. Maya looked embarrassed. Your team must think I'm pathetic. I said, they think you're here for closure. That's all. She stepped closer. Armin. Please give me one more chance. I shook my head. Why should I? She whispered, because I love you. I stared at her calmly. You love the version of me that needed you. That man is gone. She grabbed my arm. I can change. I pulled away. I already did. Tears streamed down her face. So that's it? I lose everything? I replied, you lost me the moment you chose someone else. She wiped her tears. I thought you would forgive me. I said softly, forgiveness isn't the same as returning. She asked, then what do you feel? I answered, peace. She blinked. Peace? I nodded. Because I survived you. She stared at me broken. Goodbye, Armin. I turned back to my screen. Goodbye, Maya. When she walked out, the room fell silent. Zara stepped inside and asked quietly, you okay? I nodded. For the first time, truly. And as the door closed behind Maya, I realized I wasn't shaken. I was free. When Maya came back the next morning, Zara whispered, she's here again. Should I send her away? I shook my head. Let her in. I want this done. The door opened slowly. Armin, please can we talk? She asked. I sighed. We already did. Not enough, she whispered. I need you to hear me properly. I motioned to the chair. Sit if you want. But I'm not repeating myself. She sat down like she was carrying the weight of her whole life. I didn't sleep last night, she said. That's not my problem, I replied. She flinched. I know. I need to say things I couldn't say yesterday. I leaned back. Go on. I want another chance, she said. I kept my tone flat. No. She blinked. At least think about it. There's nothing to think about, I said. She reached forward. Armin, I know I hurt you. I know I chose wrong. But I'm ready to fix everything. I raised an eyebrow. Fix? Maya, you didn't break a chair. You broke me. Her voice trembled. I didn't know what I had. You knew, I said. You just didn't care. She stared at her hands. If you just give me one more chance. I cut her off. You didn't leave a place to return to. She looked up slowly. What does that mean? It means you destroyed everything, I said. There's no us left to rebuild. Her tears fell instantly. Armin, please. I shook my head. No begging. Not here. I'm not begging, she whispered. I'm trying. To fix your life, I said. Not mine. She stood up suddenly. Don't you care at all? I answered honestly, not anymore. She stared at me shocked. How? How can you not feel anything? Because I spent months feeling everything, I said. And pain has a limit. She collapsed back into the chair, covering her face. I was stupid, blind? Yes, I replied. But that's your journey. Not mine. She wiped her tears. I thought, maybe we could be what we were. We can't, I said. I'm not that man anymore. She whispered, you're stronger now. I nodded. Because you left. She shook her head. I thought my career, my plans, my future. I thought those things mattered more. They did, I said. Until they didn't. She swallowed. And now I'm alone. That's still not my responsibility. She looked at me with desperate eyes. Do you hate me? I answered quietly, no. Hate takes energy. I'm tired of giving you any. She broke again. I deserve that. Maybe, I said. But this isn't about punishment. It's about peace. She held her breath. So this is really the end? It ended the night you chose someone else, I replied. She whispered, I regret everything. I don't, I said. She stared at me in confusion. You don't? I shook my head. Losing you forced me to find myself. She looked at the door as if she wasn't sure she could walk through it. Say something, she pleaded. I answered, I already did. Silence is the rest. Her lips trembled. Your silence hurts more than anything. Good, I said softly. Maybe now you understand. She stepped forward. Can I at least hug you goodbye? No, I replied. We don't mix healing with history. Her voice cracked. I loved you. You loved the man who depended on you, I said. Not the man standing in front of you. She nodded slowly, like she was accepting a punishment she deserved. Then, goodbye, Armin. Goodbye, I said without hesitation. When she walked out, her sobs echoed faintly in the hallway. Zara peeked in worried. Do you need anything? I exhaled deeply. Just a moment. She closed the door. I sat there in the quiet, realizing something powerful. My silence had done what revenge never could. It freed me. I leaned back in my office chair, staring at the news on my screen. We doubled in value, I murmured. Zara walked in with a grin. Say it louder. I need to hear it again. I laughed. We doubled in value. She clapped. Finally. You're getting what you deserve. Alishba appeared behind her. So, when do we celebrate? After I catch my breath, I joked. It still feels unreal. Alishba smirked. You worked for this. Nothing unreal about effort. I nodded. Still, seeing it happen feels different. My phone buzzed. A message from Sana. I opened it and Zara noticed my expression shift. What happened? She asked. I sighed. It's about Maya. Alishba raised an eyebrow. What now? I read the message aloud. She resigned. Couldn't handle the pressure after the scandal. Zara crossed her arms. So a deal ruined her career and disappeared? Yeah, I said quietly. He's gone. No trace. And her? Alishba asked. I exhaled. She's struggling. Zara leaned on my desk. How do you feel about that? I shook my head. I don't know. I'm not happy. I'm not sad. It's like watching someone I used to know fade into a stranger. Alishba spoke softly. That's called closure. I looked around the office. My team working hard, screens glowing, energy buzzing. You know, I said, there was a time she told me I'd never reach anywhere. Zara frowned. I remember. You looked like the world had ended. I thought it had, I admitted. But now, look. Alishba tapped the glass wall. Look at you. Your company. Your progress. I nodded. It feels like I finally became the version of myself I was meant to be. Just then Rayan entered. Are you three celebrating without me? I smirked. We were waiting for you. He glanced at the screen. Doubled value. Good. But don't slow down now. I laughed. I know. You're allergic to comfort. Comfort ruins ambition, he said. Keep climbing. Zara nudged me. See? Even your mentor is proud. Rayan nodded. Very. You came a long way from the guy who walked into my office broken. I swallowed. Yeah, that version of me feels far away. Good, he said. He needed to disappear. After he left, the office became quiet again. I stood and walked to the window. You know what's strange? Alishba asked. What? I didn't build this to prove Maya wrong, I said. But somehow, I did. Zara replied. That's what growth does. It answers questions you don't ask anymore. I turned toward them. Do you think she regrets everything? Sana's message flashed in my mind again. She does, Alishba said softly. People don't resign out of pride. They resign when the world they built collapses. Zara added, and hers collapsed the day she chose the wrong person. I rubbed my face. I never wanted her life to fall apart. But it did, Zara said. And you didn't cause it. Exactly, Alishba agreed. Karma handled it. I walked back to my desk and sat down. You know what feels different today? Zara asked. What? I'm not angry anymore, I said. Not even a little. Alishba smiled. Peace looks good on you. I chuckled. Feels good too. Zara pointed at the documents on my desk. Sign these. They'll announce the new partnership tomorrow. Right, I said. Another milestone. Another victory, Alishba added. I signed the papers and leaned back. This life, this office, this team, all of it. It's yours, Zara said. Yeah, I whispered. Mine. I looked around again, the calm, the strength, the success. She once said I'd never reach this life, I said. Alishba held my gaze. And she'll never reach it now. I nodded slowly. Because it isn't hers. Zara smiled warmly. It never was. I took a deep breath. I built this for me. And for the first time ever, I truly believed it. I walked up the familiar stairs to the apartment where it all ended. My chest didn't tighten. My hands didn't shake. The door looked the same, worn edges, peeling paint, faint scratches. I whispered to myself, I made it. I turned the key in the lock. The place smelled faintly of old furniture, stale air, and memories. I stepped inside, expecting echoes of pain, of heartbreak. But there was nothing. Silence. Quiet. Acceptance. I sat on the couch where I had once fallen apart. This used to hurt, I said aloud. Now, it's just a room. I closed my eyes and spoke to my younger self in my mind. You made it. You survived everything. You grew when it felt impossible. You chose yourself instead of waiting for someone who didn't deserve you. A knock at the door startled me. I opened it to see Zara smiling, holding 2 cups of coffee. "I thought you might need this," she said softly. I laughed quietly. "I do. You always know." She stepped in and looked around. "Still feels weird to come here?" she asked. "Not really," I replied. "I came to say goodbye to the past. And it's peaceful." Zara nodded. "That's what matters. You're letting go." I smiled faintly. Not letting go of myself. Just everything else. We sat on the couch together and she handed me a cup. "To growth?" she asked. "To growth?" I echoed, clinking my cup gently against hers. She grinned. "You've come so far, Armin. From the guy who thought life ended with her to this man sitting next to me." I shrugged. "I had help." She shook her head. "No, you did the hard part. You faced your pain. You rebuilt your life. I just helped you see it." "You did more than help," I said, meeting her eyes. "You reminded me what I was worth." Zara's cheeks warmed. "Well, someone had to." I laughed softly. "Yeah, someone had to." For a long moment we didn't speak. Just sat, sharing the quiet. Then I whispered, "Do you realize something?" "What?" she asked. "My future. It doesn't have space for the past." She tilted her head, curious. "You mean Maya?" I nodded. "All the pain, all the betrayal, it's behind me now. I don't hate her. I don't dwell on her mistakes. I just live." "That's powerful," she said quietly. I leaned back. "And it's not revenge. I didn't build my life to punish anyone. I built it for me. Every late night, every failure, every sleepless moment, it was for this moment. For peace, for growth." Zara smiled warmly. "And you found it." "I did," I said softly. "Because I stopped trying to prove anything to her." "Exactly," she said. "You proved it to yourself. That's the only thing that counts." I sipped my coffee, letting the warmth spread through me. "Do you know what feels different now?" "What?" she asked. "Freedom," I said. "I can look at life, at my work, at my choices, and not feel chains pulling me back." Zara nodded. "That's the real victory." I smiled. "And it's ours." She laughed softly. "Ours?" "Yes," I said. "You're my anchor. Not her. Not the past. You kept me steady when everything else fell apart." Her eyes glimmered. "That's beautiful, Armin." "I mean it," I said. "I don't need apologies or regrets or anything from her. I have this life. I have people who matter. And I'm finally ready to move forward." We sat in silence again, watching the sun set through the window. Warm light spilled across the room, soft and golden. I whispered, "I'm ready." Zara smiled and squeezed my hand. "I'm here." We moved forward together. I nodded, feeling it deep in my chest. My journey wasn't about proving Maya wrong. It was about finding myself. And now, I finally had the future I built with my own hands. I stood, feeling the air in the apartment differently. Lighter. Brighter. Free. And I knew, without a shadow of doubt, that my past no longer had a place in my life.